What if you looked up at the sky and saw massive, glowing rings stretching from horizon to horizon? Not stars, not planes, but shimmering bands of ice and rock arching above cities, deserts, and oceans, just like Saturn's. What if Earth had rings? It wouldn't just be beautiful, it would change everything. From how we see the stars to how we grow our food, from ancient myths to modern technology, from our culture to our climate. In this episode of Voxorium, we dive into a reality just slightly off from our own, a world where Earth was born with rings. Get ready to explore the science, the spectacle, and the strange consequences of a planet that never had a normal sky. Would you love it or be terrified of it? Let's find out. If Earth had rings, we'd never look at the sky the same way again. From the equator, the rings would slice across the sky in a glowing arc, wide, brilliant, stretching from one horizon to the other. During the day, they'd reflect sunlight like giant mirrors, casting shadows on the surface and tinting the sky with pale silver or gold. At night, they'd shine like frozen rivers of light, brighter than the Milky Way, sharper than the moon. In northern latitudes, the view would change. The rings would rise at a steeper angle, thinner, narrower, like a cosmic blade cutting through the stars. In polar regions, they'd become a distant glimmer, just visible near the horizon. But no matter where you stood, the rings would dominate the sky. They wouldn't just be something we see, they'd be something we live under. Beautiful? Yes. But Earth's rings wouldn't just be decoration. They'd change the planet itself. During the day, the rings would reflect sunlight back into space. That means less heat would reach the surface, especially in regions that spend more time under their shadow. Some parts of the world might be cooler, others warmer. Weather patterns would shift, seasons would warp. Crops could fail in one zone while thriving in another. At night, the rings would act like a cosmic nightlight, scattering moonlight, dimming the stars, even affecting the circadian rhythms of animals and people. The glow of the rings might seem magical, but their influence would stretch into every ecosystem, every habitat, and even human health. And over centuries, that quiet pressure might rewrite entire climates, not through global warming, but through orbital beauty. Now, imagine this. Every night, no matter where you are on Earth, you look up high and see gigantic glowing bands stretching across the heavens. They shimmer, they pulse, they bend with the curve of the sky. Would ancient people just ignore that? Not a chance. The rings would become central to how we understood the universe. Just like the moon inspired stories of werewolves and madness, Earth's rings would become symbols of gods, of omens, of power. In Mesopotamia, maybe they'd be called the Path of the Sky Kings. In Egypt, the Necklace of Ra. In Norse legend, perhaps a frozen bridge between worlds. And think about architecture. What if the Parthenon or the pyramids had been aligned to the movement of the rings, not the stars? Entire calendar systems could have revolved around the shadows rings cast during equinoxes. Rituals, like solstice fires or harvest festivals, might have synced with the shifting glow of the rings as they tilted with the seasons. Artists would paint them as halos of the gods. Poets would write verses to lovers beneath their light. And in dark times, they'd be signs of divine judgment, cracked or broken rings seen as omens of war or plague. The rings wouldn't just frame our skies, they'd shape our beliefs, our fears, even our sense of purpose. What if we got tired of dreaming and decided to build our own rings? Crazy? Maybe not. Engineers have already floated ideas like orbital mirrors, solar arrays, or even space billboards, massive structures circling Earth. But imagine millions of satellites or nanoreflectors forming a perfect ring around the planet. From the ground, they'd look like ghostly ribbons, shimmering during sunrise and sunset. For some, it'd be beautiful. For others, terrifying. Space agencies would argue about the risk of collisions. Environmentalists might call it the sky's pollution. But influencers? They'd film TikToks under the ring glow. And the first couple to get married with artificial rings overhead? Probably already posting on Metamars. So yes, humans could build rings. The real question isn't, can we? It's, should we? Imagine stepping outside on a quiet night, and instead of stars, your eyes catch giant glowing arcs stretching across the sky. Maybe you'd pause, maybe you'd smile, or maybe you'd simply forget, because that view was always normal to you. But the truth is, even without rings, this planet is already astonishing. It spins through space with oceans full of life. It breathes clouds and lightning. It holds stories carved into stone, etched in myths, and whispered across generations. Maybe Earth didn't get the rings, but it got us. A species that looks up and asks, what if? What if we had rings? What if we lived on Mars? What if we're not alone? These questions are more than entertainment. They're a mirror. They show us how far we're willing to go in thought and science, in imagination. Some people look at the sky and see stars, others see possibilities. And if you've watched this far, you're probably one of the others. So don't stop asking, don't stop wondering, don't stop dreaming, even if it sounds ridiculous. Because somewhere, hidden between reality and imagination, is the next idea that might just change the world. This was Voxorium. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.